DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
You're from New Central Illinois, WHOW.
It's the WHOW Morning Show. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom in this segment is Tony Kirkman with the Piatt County Mental Health Center. Tony, it's been a little while since we've caught up. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for taking time for us this morning on the morning show. And on the docket, it feels like there's always something new, going on, especially with the mental health center, always something for you guys to tackle. And of late, that is some new laws regarding public displays of 988 and the crisis hotline. Let's dive into what's going on here, Tony.
Sure. Yeah. So probably the first one to tackle is Senate Bill 2771 was recently signed by Governor Pritzker about a month ago, I believe. It's known as Tamara's Law. And what that has done is it has amended a couple of the different laws that are out there. The County Shelter Care, the Illinois Local Library Act, the Public Library Act, and some assisted living and shared housing acts. And basically what the law is saying is that in public places like county shelters or in your local libraries, in assisted living and in nursing homes, those institutions, also even in schools, those institutions are supposed to be providing printable material that can be easily viewed in public access areas to inform those patrons of the services and the accessibility of what is known as the 988 Suicide and Lifeline services offered by the federal government.
Gotcha. So I feel like this goes right along with a lot of those places that you were listing off. What comes to mind for me is mandated reporters. So it seems like there's a lot of similarities there.
Absolutely. So again, we're thinking about individuals where there is a lot of community traffic and trying to engage people of making them aware of, as I've often said to your listeners, feelings aren't good or bad, they just are. And sometimes we have amazing days and some days we don't. And so in those moments where there is a lot of despair or hopelessness or helplessness or just feelings of some severe depression, it's important for individuals to know that there are resources and there are people available that are wanting to serve them 24/7. You can just pick up the phone, you can text, and you would be immediately connected. Here in Illinois, you're connected to a phone bank of licensed counselors that will be able to sit with you through your situation, talk that through, to assess, and if deemed necessary, to dispatch what's called a mobile crisis response team to help further aid you with your mental health journey.
Gotcha. So I feel like, my question rather is, do you feel like this is, obviously it's a step in the right direction as far as accessibility of mental health resources, but is it enough? What does this bring us closer to? What does this mean as far as progress for mental health resources?
Well, speaking, to our listeners here that are in a mostly rural area, I think it's fantastic because time and time again, in both Piatt and DeWitt County, one of the biggest barriers to treatment that we see is transportation. Cost would be right behind that too. So for some of those areas of I'm just thinking like in Lane or LaPlace or Hammond or Wapella, those areas where you don't have a service provider or transportation might be difficult, or you can't make the service hours there, it still doesn't mean that mental health takes a day off. So I think it's vitally important that we resource people. And I'll tell you, while the COVID pandemic set us back on a few things, what it did do was launch the necessity and the accessibility of telehealth services, which I'm a huge fan of because while I'm old school and I like to do psychotherapy in a one-on-one physical proximity, telehealth is better than no health. So I think it's extremely vital. I like where we're going with that. And so, you know, the cliche is it's okay to not be okay. It is real. We have feelings, we have ups and downs. And so long answer to probably a short question is I like where we're going. I like that we're resourcing people. I like that we're giving people options because as a psychotherapist, I know that I don't jive with everybody. So if I don't work, I've told a lot of my clients, you know, therapy is like sometimes trying on shoes. Like sometimes they just don't fit. And so find a pair of shoes that fit you so that your walk is a lot easier. Don't quit walking. So choice is good. Access is great.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a phrase that sticks out with me is something my mom always used to tell me is that whether you feel like you are, for quote unquote, doing well or not doing well, everyone should be in therapy. I'm just kind of curious how that sits with you.
Oh, 100%. Because here's what happens. We see the world, we only have two eyeballs. We see the world through those two windows and we interpret it through our experience. Now, our feelings are 100% real, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're true. So I often use the old school example of when you're walking, you know, down the hallway in junior high and people are snickering, well, obviously they're snickering about you, right? Because the world is about you. And so in reality, I've heard a quote recently, and I wish I could remember who to attribute it to, but it said, you know, when you're in your 20s, you think everybody is talking about you. When you're in your 40s, you quit caring what people think about you. And when you're in your 60s, you realize they weren't even talking about you in the first place. So I think, I think that we need to become more self-aware that friends, families, caregivers provide us perspective to help us on our journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tony, is there anything on this public displays of 988 that we missed before we move on?
All I would just say is that when you call this hotline, it is not somebody that's reading off of a rack card. You are going to be connected with a licensed mental health professional. So it's somebody that knows what they're doing and then will immediately be able to dispatch a local resource to you. So reach out if you need help. Strong people, courageous people address issues.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, Tony. Well, as we move right along here, you know, you've always got policy going on in your brain, I'm sure. And another one of recent is some changes to recreational marijuana purchasing.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that the General Assembly is trying to address. One of them is the dangers of what we know as Delta 8 and Delta 10 marijuana. And basically, in a nutshell, is the hemp law that was written very, very tightly so that you could still farm hemp, but you could still ban what they would call marijuana. And that's based upon the amount of THC and the chemical that's known as Delta 9. Well, what ended up happening is that there were chemical manipulations that allowed the Delta 9 THC to be reconfigured to a Delta 8, Delta 10, which still had the mind-altering effects of cannabinoids.
Yeah.
So that's why you were able to get some of these gummies sold at vape shops and whatnot. Well, the General Assembly basically said we're going to start putting more restrictions on mind-altering substances so they don't get in the hands of minors. And so that's what they've done. They've also doubled the amount of possession that a person can have in hemp flower. So it used to be 30, now it's 60 grams. And so for your leader or your listeners, think in freezer bags. So you can have up to 2 freezer bags of flour, and that would be the threshold for minor consumption. It allows a designee of somebody that has a medical marijuana prescription to designate somebody to go and pick it up for them. It increases the hours that a dispensary can open. So now they can be open until 2 a.m. They have now allowed dispensaries to be able to have curbside or drive-through accessibility. And they've also said that you no longer have to outsource your security to an outside security firm. You can actually hire within. So I think what they're trying to do is lax some requirements when it leads to rec and medicinal marijuana, but also really trying to tighten up on some of these unregulated Delta 8, Delta 10, and they're looking at kratom, which is a derivative of a synthetic opioid. So they're trying to get some of these deregulated stuff, get a handle on it.
Yeah. It sounds like there was a good mix of what could be considered good, what could be considered bad there. And I'm curious, especially with those accessibility things like the drive-throughs, how that kind of sits with you and what your thoughts are about making that easier to get.
Well, I'm old, so I'll go with
Fair enough. With a grain of salt.
Yeah, and I'm trying to embrace change on certain things, but
Yeah.
what I will tell you is that we have a lot of prevention services in DeWitt and Piatt County. In fact, we go to every single school in DeWitt and almost every school in Piatt to teach the dangers of underage alcohol and substance use, because your viewers know this, the brain, the prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until about the age of 25. So that affects some of your decision-making, moral compasses, risks, consequences, emotional regulation, all of these things. And I just asked the question of why would you want to put a undeveloped brain to be exposed to mind-altering substances? So I'm a big proponent of prevention work, educating our youth. So, and all of that's my setup for this. What we look at in our communities as two of the largest contributors to underage usage is accessibility and permissive parenting. So, you're a grown man at 18, come and drink a beer with your dad. That's illegal. It might be a cultural one, but that's still illegal. So, if we are really concerned, and I'm not telling anybody how to parent, you do you, right?
Sure.
I'm just telling you what the data says. The data says that if we want to address underage drinking and substance use by minors, we limit the amount of accessibility to the minor. And this is my concern, is that now that you're taking away some of those checks that you may, I'm not saying you will, you may lead to easier accessibility to minors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a padded enough question or answer?
Yeah, absolutely. And it brings up the, for those medical users and being able to have someone else go pick it up for them. Obviously that sounds like a good thing for somebody who may be disabled, but it does lead to those things where it could be in the hands of the person it's not prescribed to.
Yeah, 100%. And that's exactly I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's not every recreational dispensary honors a medical marijuana card. So it does make it more difficult for those that have a medical prescription to get it filled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Tony, I look at the clock. We're overdue for a break here, but is there anything on this conversation that you wanted to hit on before we go to commercial?
No, I think just make yourself informed. I mean, every law has a little bit of good and a little bit of eek to it. So your politicians aren't perfect, but they're trying. And I think that just be mindful of what's out there as far as in your resources and what your local government's doing. And if you've got any questions, your Piatt County Mental Health Center is here to help.
Absolutely. And leave it to our mental health professionals to give those politicians a little grace. Absolutely. Of course, it is Tony Kirkman with the Piatt County Mental Health Center on the Zoom on the WHOW Morning Show. More to come, coming up next.
WHOW.
It's Fair Week at the Farmer City DeWitt County Fair with fun for the whole family. Enjoy carnival rides, vendors, classic games, and traditional fair food. Plus, every day there's something new happening. Come see outstanding 4-H and FFA livestock shows. Meet this year's royalty as they walk the fairgrounds and catch live music. Thursday evening with Owen Knapp at Amherst Place Celebration. Friday brings the excitement of harness racing and pick a winner. And Saturday is packed with family fun with Kids Day, the Western Horse Show, drone demonstrations, and the always always popular IPA tractor pull. So grab the gang and enjoy all your favorite fair activities at the Farmer City DeWitt County Fair. Visit farmercityfair.com for the full schedule. This message is brought to you by DeLand Farmers Grain, keeping farmers happy at harvest. With their speedy turnaround, you can return to the field quickly for your next load. And Gibson Area Hospital and Health Services, the model of excellence in community healthcare, providing personalized professional healthcare services to the residents of the communities they serve.
Looking for the perfect summer night? Head to Decatur and cheer on the Decatur Beanballers. Experience exciting summer collegiate baseball, affordable family fun, great promotions, and an unforgettable atmosphere at the ballpark. Get your tickets and schedule at beanballers.com and catch Decatur Beanballers highlights all summer long on IL Sportswire.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4-lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back to school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine, forward for you.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
It's the WHOW Morning Show. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. We continue with my guest on the Zoom, Tony Kirkman, with the Piatt County Mental Health Center. And Tony, your job does not just stop at the Mental Health Center. You are also on the Piatt County 708 board, of course. And so let's talk about what are the recent updates going on there.
Yeah, so I have the privilege to be able to help facilitate some of the stuff there for the Piatt County 708 board. They've been pretty active, as May was Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we were able to do quite a few communication campaigns. We were able to do a few mental health workshops here in Piatt County, and then just to make our public aware of the many resources, local resources that are available to them. So a few things that we're kind of talking about, looking into the future, what can we do? One of the things that I'm excited about is on October 10th, we're going to be providing what's called a hidden threats trailer that in partnership with the Illinois National Guard. It's basically a pull-behind trailer that mimics a adolescent's bedroom, so that parents can go into it and they can see maybe some of the signs that their young person may be experimenting with alcohol or substance use, showing a few things of like where stash box is or what this might mean, just to educate parents, because some youth might not feel comfortable or even want their parents to know. And so it's just making parents more mindful of it. So we're going to be doing that in conjunction with the Monticello Fire Department on the 10th. We're working, trying to figure out a partnership with the Piatt County Farm Bureau, because our data shows that our farming community, one, has a higher than average exposure to stress and depression, as well as in substance misuse. And however, they have a lower than average engagement rate for mental health services. So more need, but not reaching out. So how can the 708 board encourage the farming community that, again, feelings are real, but they might not be true, and here's some help. So we're going to be working with them to figure out what resources that can we bring into the farming community. We're getting ready to go into our next fiscal year, so we're interviewing potential funders, just like our colleagues at DeWitt Mental Health Board are doing over in DeWitt County. So looking at people that are interested in providing services for our residents. And then finally, I would just like to tell your listeners that if they are looking for any resource locally that's on the topic of mental health, substance use, or developmental services, we have refreshed our resource page. So individuals that are interested in seeing what's available, they can go to 708piatt.org/resources. And there is a whole list of things that with links that can guide them right to the resources that they need.
Absolutely. What stuck out to me there with that trailer that's coming out to, educate parents on, youth alcohol use and things like that. I'm curious, with that approach, is there any aspect of it that is, less about, punishing kids, for the use of alcohol and more of guiding away from it and that kind of thing?
100%. I am a big fan of positive intervention. I've often heard is you reward what you want repeated. And so there's a strong difference, a big difference between punishment and discipline. Discipline is supposed to be future focused, and it's supposed to be for changing behavior. So yes, I think you're 100% right. That trailer is to be used for education so that parents can start conversations, because that's where change happens. Change doesn't happen in punishment. It happens with discussions and treating young people with data and treating them with adult-like scenarios. So yes, I agree 100%. Educate, and keep a line of communication open.
Absolutely. And we are out of time. That is Tony Kirkman with the Piatt County Mental Health Center on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.